Wastelanders, Christopher here, Gaslands NorCal. Thanks for joining me once again for another creation video. Now, it never hurts to advertise, especially in the Wasteland, so that's what we're going to do this time. We're going to be making some handcrafted billboards perfectly suitable for any map, any Wastelands, any death race. I've pieced together some bits and pieces that I've had laying around the bench or procured them at very little cost that I'm going to be doing this time. Not going to be 3D printing anything, I'm just going to be using bits and pieces I had laying around. I've also created some custom Gaslands NorCal advertising that we're going to be slapping on there. So who's ready to jump on in and get these things going? So let's get crafting. Alright, so let's get down to what we're going to use to put these two billboards together. We're going to be doing a couple of them using a little bit different stuff for each one. Well, just a tiny bit different stuff for each one. For the actual stands, I'm going to be using chopsticks. I'm going to cut these into 4-inch pieces. They're going to be going on the back to make them stand up like so. For the braces in the back, that's going to go against the base. I have these polystyrene tubes. They're going to be glued on like that. And then for the framing, that's what's going to be the different part for each one of these. For one of them, I'm going to be using these polystyrene square tube things that will be going around the edges. For the other one, I just found some sprues that were laying around that I cut all the edges off. I'm going to be using to go around this one, like so. So that's how we're going to get it all together. For the base for each one of them, I'm going to be using a piece of the self-healing whatever cutting board. I got these from, I think, Dollar Tree or Dollar General or something like that for like a little over $1 a piece, but they make really good bases. For the actual billboard itself, this is, I think, 2mm plastic card. So that's what we're using for those. So let's start getting the rest of the stuff cut up and glued together and on the base, and then we're going to get it primed. Look at how we're going to be doing the texturing on the base, and then we'll start getting the actual advertisements printed up and get it all together and get everything textured and weathered and everything else. So let's get gluing, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so we're all framed up. We got the main legs, supports, whatever they're called, on there. When I was looking at how I was going to do the leaning supports for the back, I realized I needed a brace bar for them to go up against, so I just added that on there. Just another piece of the polystyrene on this one and the sprue on this one. So next we're going to get them based. Now for the bases, like I said, I used some of this stuff and cut it out because it makes a really, really good base. The only thing that I'm going to do next for these is I want the pegs to kind of sit into the actual base. So I'm just going to drill a little hole in there so they'll sit in there so the glue has something else to adhere to and everything. I'm going to do that also for the back supports as well. So they'll all have something to sit in and the glue will stick to, and then once those get all dried and everything else, we'll look at texturing the base and then we'll prime them. So let's get some holes drilled and then we'll get everything based and we'll see where we're at. So let's drill it. So we're all glued up and ready to go. I did not drill the holes for the back bracing just because it was kind of a pain to drill the holes for the initial posts, but they're all glued on there, so everything looks to be pretty darn secure on both of them. So next, we're going to get the base texturing done, and just like I did different things with the sprues and the tubing, I'm going to use a little bit different basing materials as well. For this one, I'm going to be using the AK concrete diorama, not because I want it to look like concrete, but just because it gives it more of a grainy texture, and you can basically paint it any color you want, like sand or moss, or leave it scrub, or even leave it concrete, whatever you want to do. So that's what we're going to do on that one. For the sprue one, we are going to be using the Vallejo ground texture, just rough gray pumice. I would imagine they're going to be kind of the same. I think this one's got more grain and stuff to it than the concrete, so we'll see how they turn out and see which one I like better. After it's all dry, then we'll get everything primed and decide what color we want to print everything. So let's get the texturing on there, and we'll have to let that dry for a while, probably overnight, and then we'll pick it up when we're done. So let's get some texturing on there. Alright, so the basing is all dried up. This is a cement one. Really like how that turned out. This is the pumice ground, and you can see there's quite a bit of shrinkage and pulling back, kind of like jumping into a cool river on a spring day. We're going to prime it all up, so we won't have to worry about any of that green or anything showing through. Then we're going to paint them up in different colors. Probably do one in green, one in brown, just to give it different kind of settings and everything else. So that's what we're going to do next. Just going to prime it up in the gray, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, looking very cool. Very easy to make, quick and dirty, I guess. So let's get it primed. Alright, so we're all primed up. Looking very cool, looking more and more like the billboards that they are supposed to be. Now we're going to start getting some of the paint on there. I'm going to start off with some pale yellow from the Mind Hobby Pro Acryl line to do the actual board of the billboard, whatever, and the front and back, and probably the primary legs, because you can still see that they look like wood, so I'm going to make them wood. The support beams and the back portion and the framing, I'm going to make metal, so I'm going to paint those metallic color, get everything kind of grunged up and stuff before we add the actual advertisements on there, and then we'll work on how we're going to do the basing, maybe make one green, one brown, or something like that. But yeah, without really looking at it really close, the two different base textures came out pretty much the same. This one's a little more, like I said, gritty. Here's the concrete. So let's get the base coat of the pale yellow on there, and we'll work on the metal and go from there. But yeah, looking good. Alright, so I got the yellow and everything on there. I got the metallic and stuff on there, looking very cool. Now I'm going to go through and do a wash. I'm just going to wash everything in the brown wash from Pro Acryl, because it's going to obviously do a little bit different shading and stuff, whether it's on the yellow or it's on the metallic. So we'll see how that turns out. If I need to, I'll wash it with something else, like the metal or something. I'll do Agrax, but I want to see what the brown does on everything. Then we're going to go through and probably get the signs on there. And you may be thinking, you know, if you're going to put signs over the billboard, why even paint them in the first place? Well, that's because the signs that I'm going to be using, some of the edges and stuff, I'm probably going to peel, like it's, you know, obviously weathering and been out in the elements and everything for a while. So I want the back to show through, like it's the wood or whatever the billboard is made out of. So that's why I'm painting and washing everything. So let's get everything washed up, and then we'll see how it turns out, if we need to wash anything else, and then we'll we may do some rust work first and then get the billboards on there, or we may do the billboards first and then do some rust work, or we may do a combination. So I don't know, we'll see how it turns out, but first let's get everything washed. Alright, So I decided that I would put the billboards on first before I do any of the rust effects. I haven't actually put them on there yet. I just cut them so I made sure that they would all fit inside the framing and everything. So that's what I'm going to do, because I want, when I do the rust effects and everything, I want it to kind of like bleed into some of the actual advertisement, so it doesn't look like a kind of a clean advertisement and then rust, you know, so just so everything goes together better. Now for the adhesive to get them onto the actual billboards, I just mixed some like some white glue with a little bit of water. Maybe I had a little bit too much water, it's kind of runny, but it should work. So what I'm going to do is I get this back off now. Put some of the adhesive on here and then slap the billboard on there and then put more adhesive over top of it. And then I'm going to go through and scratch it up, you know, maybe tear some areas to make it look more weathered. And then we'll see where we're at, add the rust effects, dust it up, do the base of it, the different colors for whatever we decide to do, and then these things should be good to go. So let's get the billboards on there, because there's nothing like cheap advertising. Alrighty, everything is all on there now. The billboards are all on there. I'm very glad that I put them on before doing the rust, because I like how the streaking of the rust went over the top of the billboards and everything to make it look very, very much more weathered. For the edges of the billboard, I hit it with some of the down and dirty rust, and then did the streaking with some of the AK light rust wash before going through and then doing some dry brushing with the MIG ammo dry brush rust stuff, just to give it a little bit more weathering effects. Did a front and back, so you can see it's kind of streaking in the back and everything. Last step, we're going to do the actual bases for the billboards, and I'm going to do something a little bit different for each one, just like I've done throughout this entire video. For the base that we use the concrete material on, I'm probably just going to go through and hit it with some gnome oil. That'll just give it the dark effect, make it still kind of look concrete-ish. For the more gristly, gravelly one, I'm going to hit it with some bone matter speed paint, just a very light to give it more of the tannish, make it look kind of more like sand, scrub, rough type of terrain. So we'll see how that turns out. Maybe go through and add some grass effects to some of these to see what else needs to be done. So let's get the bases done, and we'll see where we're at and see what else needs to happen. So let's get the bases. Alright, and there we have it. Two custom-made billboards, all weathered up and ready for the Wastelands. Try to keep all the materials and everything kind of what everybody should have on hand or could have on hand. Really inexpensive. All in all, this entire process took me maybe a day, day and a half, including you know, waiting for everything to dry and everything else. So quick and easy process, not hard to do, very inexpensive. Even the billboards, I made them on Canva, just using free stuff. Found the pictures online, Google search for, you know, apocalypse stuff and everything. Obviously the cars on there, those are my own builds and stuff. So advertising my channel, my customization, my builds, everything else. So had a lot of fun doing it. They came out really cool. I love how even the basing and everything, it turned out really well. I was kind of concerned about how the gritty one would turn out, but yeah, it turned out really, really good. Put a little bit of sand and stuff on there. Like I said, nothing on here was 3D printed, so you don't need a 3D printer. Really just stuff that you should, you know, be able to find around the house or get relatively easy. I mean, the main supports were chopsticks. So if you enjoyed this video, you learned something, do me a favor and hit that like button. My main goal is to do weekly videos, whether they're vehicle builds, terrain builds, battle reports, whatever. So if that's for you, hit the sub button below and ring the bell to get notified when new content drops. I do sell all my builds, including terrain, pretty inexpensively on my Etsy page. So if you want to pick something up, see what else I've done, You can even request custom builds, even for terrain. If you'd really like to show some love, head on over to my Patreon page and get signed up. Every bit helps keep the paint flowing, the printer printing, and the camera rolling. Until next time, keep your foot on the gas and your finger on the trigger. Gaslands NorCal, signing out.